Back on Earth, the news hit like a thunderclap. The Council's fleet had descended upon Mars, their ships blotting out the sky as they unleashed devastating attacks on research colonies and mining facilities. Thousands of lives were lost in an instant, and panic spread across the globe. Images of burning domes and shattered habitats flooded the media, showing the world just how ruthless the Council could be. For many, it was a grim reminder that humanity wasn't just fighting for its future, it was fighting for its survival. Samantha Brooks watched the reports from her lab, her hands trembling as she clenched the edges of a workbench. She felt a mix of anger and guilt. Part of her wondered if Project Dawn's actions had provoked this attack, but another part knew the Council would have struck eventually, regardless of what they did. They weren't interested in negotiations, they wanted submission, and Samantha refused to give them that. "We need to act," Maria Lopez said sharply, breaking the silence. "If we wait any longer, they'll come for Earth next." Alex Rivera nodded, his face pale but determined. "They've shown their hand. Now it's our turn." Jason Carter's message from captivity reached them late. That night a short, encrypted transmission smuggled out by a sympathetic alien worker aboard the Council station. It confirmed what they already suspected. The Council saw humanity as a threat that needed to be eliminated. There would be no mercy, no second chances. The team gathered around a flickering screen as Jason's voice crackled through the speakers. "They're planning something big. You need to prepare. Fight back however you can." Samantha shut off the recording, her jaw tight. "Then that's what we'll do. We won't let them take Earth without a fight." The next morning, Project Dawn launched its first major operation, a counterattack against the Council forces stationed on the Moon, using cloaked ships. Designed by Alex and armed with prototype weapons reverse-engineered from alien tech, the team set out under the cover of darkness. Maria led the assault, her tactical expertise guiding every move. The plan was simple, but risky: hit hard, hit fast, and retreat before the Council could respond. As the ships approached the lunar base, tension filled the air. Samantha sat beside Alex and one of the fighters, gripping the armrests as they breached enemy airspace. Below them, the Council's outpost glowed faintly against the barren landscape, its defenses bristling with energy turrets and drones. "Ready?" Alex asked, glancing at her. "As I'll ever be," Samantha replied, taking a deep breath. The signal came a burst of static, followed by Maria's voice over the comms. "Engage." The battle erupted in chaos. Plasma bolts streaked across the void as Project Dawn's forces clashed with the Council's automated defenses. Explosions lit up the surface of the Moon, sending plumes of dust into the low gravity. Alex maneuvered their ship with practiced skill, dodging incoming fire while targeting key structures. Samantha gripped the console tightly, shouting coordinates for him to strike. Meanwhile, Maria coordinated the ground assault, leading a small team to infiltrate the base. Their goal was to destroy the communication hub, severing the link between the Council's fleet and its commanders. As they fought their way inside, the resistance grew fiercer, but Maria pushed forward, her determination unwavering. Back in orbit, Jason listened to the updates from his cell, praying silently for success. He knew this was humanity's chance to prove itself, to show the Council that they wouldn't go quietly. When the communication hub finally exploded in a brilliant flash, cheers erupted among the rebels. The Council's ships faltered, their coordination disrupted. Project Dawn didn't stick around to celebrate. They withdrew quickly, leaving behind only wreckage and smoke. For the first time, humanity tasted victory. It was small, but it was enough to ignite hope. On Earth, people watched the footage of the damaged outpost and began to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could win this fight. In the vast, glowing chamber of the Galactic Council, voices echoed like waves crashing against a rocky shore. The air was thick with tension, and every representative seemed to hold their breath as they waited for the next move. At the center of it all stood Daniel Carter, a tall man with sharp eyes and a determined jawline. He was Earth's lead negotiator, tasked with defending humanity's interests in a room full of alien species, who often saw humans as nothing more than newcomers to the galactic stage. Beside him sat Rachel Monroe, her pen moving quickly across a notepad as she jotted down key points from the heated debate. Rachel was known for her quick thinking and calm demeanor, qualities that made her an invaluable advisor to Daniel. Together, they had faced countless challenges, but today felt different. Today, the stakes were higher than ever. The council had been discussing the allocation of resources from a newly discovered star system located near Earth's territory. This system, rich in rare minerals and energy sources, had become the focal point at the meeting. Many species wanted access to its wealth, arguing that it belonged to the galaxy as a whole. But Daniel wasn't about to let them take what rightfully belonged to humanity. We've invested time, money, and lives exploring that region, Daniel said firmly, his voice cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. It's within our borders, and we're entitled to benefit from it. His words sparked outrage among some members of the council. Zoreth, a towering Valen with shimmering blue skin, slammed his fist on the table. You humans are greedy, he bellowed. You think only of yourselves, while others suffer. Rachel leaned closer to Daniel, whispering urgently. They're trying to paint us as selfish. We need to counter that narrative. Daniel nodded slightly before addressing the room again. Greed isn't the issue here, it's fairness. Humanity has played by the rules since joining this council. We've shared technology, knowledge, and even our own resources when asked. But now, when we finally find something valuable, you expect us to hand it over without question. The murmuring grew louder, with some species siding with Zorath, and others nodding in agreement with Daniel. Kayla, a graceful ambassador from the Luminae, raised her hand to speak. Her soft, melodic voice carried authority. Perhaps there is a compromise to be reached. Both sides have valid concerns. But Daniel shook his head. Compromise wasn't an option anymore, not this time. The council had pushed too far, demanding concessions that would leave Earth vulnerable. He glanced at Rachel, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. She knew what he was thinking. They'd talked about this possibility before coming to the meeting. Standing up straighter, Daniel took a deep breath. His next words would change everything. If this is how the council operates, then we no longer wish to be part of it. Silence fell over the chamber like a heavy curtain. Every eye turned toward him, disbelief written on alien faces. Even Rachel looked startled, though she quickly masked her surprise. Without another word, Daniel turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. Rachel hurried after him, clutching her notes tightly. As they exited the chamber, the weight of what had just happened settled over them. They had taken a monumental step, one that could either save humanity or doom it. Outside, the corridors buzzed with activity as news spread. Delegates whispered frantically, unsure how to react. For the first time in history, a member of the Galactic Council had walked out of negotiations, and everyone knew that such a bold move wouldn't go unanswered. Daniel stopped briefly, staring out a large window at the swirling nebula beyond. This changes everything, he muttered under his breath. Rachel placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. For better or worse, we've made our choice. Now we prepare for whatever comes next. And so, the stage was set for consequences neither side could fully anticipate. Back on Earth, the news of Daniel Carter's dramatic exit from the Galactic Council spread like wildfire. Social media platforms lit up with reactions ranging from pride to panic. Some hailed the decision as a bold stand for humanity's rights, while others feared it would lead to retaliation from alien factions. In living rooms, offices, and cafes around the world, people debated what this meant for Earth's future. At the United Earth Command Center in Geneva, leaders gathered in an emergency meeting to discuss the fallout. General Matthew Hayes, a gruff but respected military officer, paced the room as he addressed his team. "We need to be ready," he said, his voice firm. "If the Council decides to punish us, we won't have much time to prepare." Laura Bennett, head of Earth's Strategic Intelligence Agency, nodded in agreement. Her sharp green eyes scanned the room as she spoke. "We're already tracking unusual activity near our borders. Several species are moving fleets closer to human-controlled space. It's not confirmation of an attack, but it's worth watching." The mood in the room was tense. Everyone knew that walking away from the Council had been a risky move. While Earth had made significant technological advancements in recent years, many alien civilizations still possessed weapons and ships far beyond anything humans could match. The question now was whether those civilizations would use their power to retaliate. Meanwhile, public opinion continued to shift. Protesters filled the streets of major cities, holding signs that read, "Stand strong," and "No surrender." Others, however, voiced concerns about the potential consequences. A young journalist named Sarah Mitchell stood among the crowd, microphone in hand, interviewing passersby. "Do you think we're ready for war?" she asked one man who looked worried. "I don't know," he replied, shaking his head. "But I do know we can't just roll over and give up what's ours. If they want a fight, we'll give them one." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. As a reporter, she understood the importance of staying neutral, but deep down, she felt a surge of pride in humanity's defiance. Later that evening, she returned to her small apartment and began writing an article about the growing divide in public sentiment. Her words captured both the hope and fear gripping the planet. Back at the command center, Laura received an urgent update from one of her analysts. Emily Dawson, a quiet but diligent worker, approached her desk hesitantly. "Ma'am, we've detected encrypted communications between several council members," she said, handing over a tablet. "It looks like they're planning something, possibly a blockade of our trade routes." Laura frowned as she reviewed the data. "Good work, Emily. Keep digging. We need to know exactly what they're up to." She dismissed the young woman and turned to General Hayes, who was reviewing troop deployment plans. "It seems the Council isn't wasting any time," she told him. "They're testing us." Hayes sighed heavily. "Let them test us then. We've got surprises of our own." He pointed to a diagram of Earth's newest orbital defense system, a network of satellites, equipped with experimental laser cannons designed to disable enemy ships without destroying them. "This might buy us some time if things get ugly." As the hours passed, tensions mounted across the globe. Families stocked up on supplies, fearing the worst. Schools held drills to prepare children for potential emergencies. Even businesses adjusted their operations, anticipating disruptions in trade. Yet amid the uncertainty, a sense of unity began to emerge. Strangers helped each other, communities came together, and flags were raised high in a show of solidarity. In Geneva, Daniel Carter watched the unfolding events with mixed emotions. He knew the path he had chosen wasn't easy, but he also believed it was necessary. Humanity couldn't keep bowing to the whims of others. They had earned their place in the galaxy, and it was time to prove it. Standing by a window, he gazed at the night sky, where countless stars twinkled like distant promises. Whatever happened next, Earth would face it head-on, and somewhere out there, beyond the edges of known space, forces were gathering that would soon challenge humanity's resolve in ways no one could predict. In the days following Earth's dramatic exit from the Galactic Council, preparations for potential conflict intensified. At military bases around the globe, soldiers trained tirelessly, their drills becoming more rigorous with each passing day. General Matthew Hayes, a man known for his no-nonsense attitude and strategic mind, worked around the clock to ensure Earth's defenses were as strong as possible. He knew that if war came, humanity would need every advantage it could get. The United Earth Defense Force sprang into action, deploying advanced fighter squadrons to key locations in orbit. Engineers scrambled to complete the construction of orbital stations equipped with cutting-edge weaponry. These stations, designed to act as both observation posts and defensive fortresses, were humanity's first line of protection against any alien attack. Laura Bennett, head of strategic intelligence, oversaw the installation of surveillance systems capable of detecting even the smallest movements in nearby space. Despite these efforts, doubts lingered among Earth's leadership. In private meetings, some officials expressed concerns about whether humanity was truly ready to face off against interstellar powers. The Council's members had centuries of experience in warfare, while Earth had only recently begun exploring beyond its solar system. "We're playing catch-up," one general admitted during a briefing. "But we have no choice. We either fight or fold." Laura shared these worries, but refused to let them paralyze her. She pushed her team harder than ever, demanding constant updates on alien activity. Emily Dawson, the young analyst who had uncovered encrypted communications earlier, found herself working late into the night, poring over data streams. Her fingers flew across her keyboard as she searched for patterns in the movements of alien fleets. Though exhausted, she felt a strange sense of purpose. For the first time in her life, she was part of something bigger, something that mattered. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens did what they could to support the war effort. Factories shifted production to create weapons, shields, and other supplies needed by the military. Volunteers signed up in droves, eager to defend their planet. Among them was Sarah Mitchell, the journalist who had been covering public reactions to the crisis. After much thought, she decided to put down her pen and pick up a wrench, joining a team of engineers working on Earth's new defense systems. "Words won't save us this time," she told a friend. "But maybe my hands can help." As the days turned into weeks, tensions continued to rise. News outlets reported sightings of unidentified ships near Earth's borders, fueling fears of an impending attack. Governments urged calm, but panic began to creep in. Supermarkets saw shelves emptied as people stocked up on essentials, and long lines formed outside recruitment centers. Yet, amidst the fear, there was also determination. Communities rallied together, holding fundraisers to support troops and sharing resources to ensure everyone had what they needed. General Hayes called another meeting with his top advisors, including Daniel Carter, who had returned to Geneva after his confrontation at the Galactic Council. "We've done all we can to prepare," Hayes said, leaning over a holographic map of Earth's defensive perimeter. "But I won't. Lee, we're still outnumbered and outgunned. If they hit us hard, we'll take losses." Daniel nodded grimly. "Then we make sure they regret those losses. Humanity has always thrived under pressure. This will be no different." Rachel Monroe, who had stayed close to Daniel throughout the crisis, added her thoughts. "We also need to think about diplomacy. Not everyone in the galaxy supports the Council's actions. If we can find allies, even unofficial ones, it could turn the tide in our favor." Hayes agreed, though he remained focused on the immediate threat. "For now, we focus on defense. Diplomacy can come later, if we survive." That evening, as the sun set over Geneva, Daniel stood on the balcony of his temporary quarters, staring at the horizon. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him, but he refused to let doubt consume him. Humanity had chosen this path, and he intended to see it through. Somewhere out there, forces were gathering, preparing to test Earth's resolve. But Earth was preparing too, and, when the moment came, they would answer. And so, the stage was set for what might become humanity's greatest challenge or its finest hour. Late one evening, as Earth's leaders continued their frantic preparations for war, a strange transmission arrived at the United Earth Command Center. It came from deep space, beyond the boundaries of human-controlled territory, and its source was unclear. The message was brief, but intriguing. "If you want to survive, meet me where the stars fade." General Matthew Hayes frowned as he read the cryptic words on his screen. What does that even mean? He muttered, rubbing his temples. Laura Bennett, who had been monitoring communications, leaned closer to examine the message. It sounds like a code, she said thoughtfully. But who sent it, and why? Daniel Carter, who had joined them in the command center, studied the text carefully. This could be a trap, he said, his voice cautious. But it might also be our only chance to learn more about what's happening out there. He glanced at Rachel Monroe, who nodded in agreement. We can't ignore it, she added. Not now. After some debate, they decided to send a small team to investigate. A rendezvous point was chosen based on the vague description in the message. Remote area of space where starlight dimmed due to dense nebulae. Daniel volunteered to lead the mission personally, despite protests from his advisors. If this is real, we need someone who can make quick decisions, he argued, and I'm the one who started all of this, accompanied by a small escort of fighter ships. Daniel boarded a fast-moving shuttle and set course for the designated location. Rachel insisted on coming along, unwilling to let him go alone. As they traveled through the vast emptiness of space, the tension aboard the shuttle was palpable. No one spoke much, each lost in their own thoughts about what awaited them. When they finally arrived, they found a battered-looking freighter drifting silently among the clouds of gas and dust. Its hull was scarred with battle damage, and its engines sputtered weakly. A figure emerged from the ship's airlock, an older man with grizzled hair and a weathered face. His name was Arlen Voss, a rogue trader known for operating on the fringes of galactic society. Arlen greeted them cautiously, his eyes darting between the humans and their armed escorts. You're braver than I expected, he said with a crooked smile. Most people wouldn't come alone after receiving my message. What do you want, Voss? Daniel asked bluntly. Time is short, and we don't have patience for games. Arlen held up his hands in surrender. Fair enough. Here's the deal. I've got information you need about secret alliances forming against Earth, fleets gathering near your borders, plans to cut off your trade routes and choke you into submission. Rachel exchanged a glance with Daniel. This matched the patterns Emily Dawson had been tracking back at headquarters. Why should we trust you? She asked sharply. Because I'm offering proof, Arlen replied. He pulled out a data crystal and tossed it to Daniel. Everything you need to know is on there. Coordinates, ship manifests, encrypted orders, it's all real. Daniel examined the crystal skeptically. And what do you get out of this? Sanctuary, Arlen said simply. The Council doesn't look kindly on traders like me. If I give you this info, I want protection. A place to lay low until the storm passes. After a moment of silence, Daniel nodded. We'll review the data. If it checks out, you've got a deal. Back on Earth, Laura and her team worked tirelessly to verify the contents of the crystal. What they found confirmed Arlen's claims. Several council members were indeed amassing fleets near human-controlled space, preparing for a coordinated strike. The information gave Earth a crucial advantage time to reinforce their defenses and plan countermeasures. For Daniel, the discovery was both a relief and a burden. They now had proof of the Council's intentions, but it also meant war was closer than ever. As he stared at the glowing holographic map showing enemy movements, he felt the weight of leadership pressing down on him. Humanity's survival depended on the choices he made next, and he couldn't afford to make a single mistake. Somewhere in the distance, the first sparks of conflict were already igniting. But for now, Earth had a slim chance to prepare, and Daniel intended to use every second wisely.